What are the expectations for you guys coming into this tournament in terms of, obviously, everyone is looking pretty strong, but I'm just wondering, what is your total aspirations for this point?
Yeah, it's like you're dead right there, Morgan. I mean, yeah, everyone's looking strong, aren't they? You look at the results in November. It's probably the best rugby's been played in Northern Hemisphere at the moment from a results perspective. You look at France, Ireland, England, Wales, Scotland. They all beat Southern Hemisphere teams. They all were very successful. So, it's probably, and people are saying, the media's saying, etc., that it's the most looks to be the most competitive and open Six Nations in in the history of the competition. So our expectations, I've been with this team now for in November we had 4 weeks together. So now we've got a newer group this time. So our expectations are that we will put performance on the paddock, which we can build on. So we're going to put a basis down that we can build on going forward. Our expectation is that we will perform as obviously as well as we can in every particular game, and hopefully through that win some of the battles, some of the smaller battles within the game. And if our expectation is that if we can win some of those smaller battles, that they hopefully combine into a bigger win somewhere, and that we get ourselves in positions where we can get positive results from what we're doing on the field, and hopefully that gets us in a position where we can get across the line in one of the games. And if we did that, that would be an outstanding result for us. But we're under no illusions of the challenge ahead of us.
Thank you ever so much. And just a quick question for Michele. Obviously, new captain coming into this tournament. What are your hopes and ambitions, and are you enjoying the potential challenges coming ahead?
Well, I think it's a massive chance for me to put on some performance before, but then even like to get in contact with the whole group, to get connected with them, and obviously to manage the whole leadership group in terms of managing the whole group. So that's the big challenge for me. Outside of the field, on the field, I have to preserve obviously my energy to step on and perform as I want. So that's the big challenge, obviously. And obviously first Six Nations as a captain, really excited to be this to start. So just obviously it's gonna be some difficult challenges, but I'm sure the group will stick together, and we're gonna go forward.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there. Kieran, my question's for you first. Obviously, you're here into the Six Nations again with a young squad. Which player are you most excited to see take the opportunity on this big stage?
Oh, all of them. They've all got to take an opportunity. I mean, there's some really good young players coming through here in Italy, but you've got to have that experience around them. You're going into a Six Nations where, like I said, you're playing the best teams in the world, and some players possibly won't get the opportunity that they're hoping to get. We've got some younger players here who are here probably from an educational point of view, to look further down the track, to the summer tours and ultimately World Cup maybe, if they progress well, and whether they get the opportunity now is another question. Because you don't want to, you've got to manage them accordingly. So, there's going to be some, obviously Paolo Gabisi has come through. You got guys like Monty Ione, who's playing pretty well at international level at the moment. Michele, be good to see him go, and he's got a guy like Zuliani who's just in behind him, who's a very good player as well. So there's a lot of younger players. And to name one, I haven't really thought about that one, to be honest.
No problem. And Michele, for you, there was a lot of talk before the tournament about whether or not Sergio Parisse would be coming back to make his international return. If he was to enter the squad at a later stage, what impact does he bring, do you think? Is he this inspirational figure, or are you just focused on sort of your own team performance?
Yeah, no, 100%. He will be that much inspiration for all of us. He will give us a real hand outside of the field, but then obviously he will show some magic on the pitch as well. He's been probably the most talented Italian player that has ever been playing for Italy. So I really think he could give us a real help in on the field as well with his technical precision, and in general he could give me a hand outside of the field as well to manage the group and maybe to show a little bit of his charisma.
From a psychological point of view, how heavily does Italy's track record of not having won since 2015 weigh on the group?
Well, it's got no weight on my shoulders because I've never been a coach before. So, you know, yeah, it's obviously there in the media. You know, they, you know, you guys write a lot about it, and obviously players read it. So, you know, there is that external, I suppose, external bubble around it. But, you know, it's something not that we don't focus on. We got to focus on our performance. You know, the decisions around, you know, Six Nations, Italy being in Six Nations and that, you know, that's board talk and board, you know, the boards need to decide those sorts of things. You know, if I was given a personal opinion on it, I'd welcome a promotion relegation system. I mean, you know, then you're going to get away from all of this. You know, who's to say anyone else would be any better than Italy in the Six Nations? You know, but I don't think it'll ever get to that because, you know, teams might have a bad year, Scotland or Wales or you know, France, England, Ireland, they might have one bad year and they're suddenly down. So I don't think it'll ever get to that, but it is a thing that's, you know, obviously I suppose it's one of the things that's that makes the tournament a little bit, really, you know, because, you know, there's always a talk about the winner, there's always a talk about you know, should Italy be there, but it's something that we certainly don't focus on, and we're just worried about our performance and our preparation for games, etc. And hopefully, you know, we can, over the next couple of Six Nations campaigns, quell that talk, you know, by our performances. So that's going to be our aims.
Yeah, you got some plaudits, didn't you, for the way that you played against the All Blacks, amongst other games in the autumn. How much confidence do you take from those performances that you can finally get that monkey off your back?
Yeah, well, you got to. I mean, you've got to move forward, don't you? I was, you know, to be fair, I was pretty pleased with our performance against New Zealand. I was very, very disappointed with our performance against Argentina. I think, you know, one thing that we have because of probably the results is that we seem to play reasonably well against teams, you know, where we were given no chance. When we are given a chance to maybe not win the game, but a chance to have a close game, we possibly freeze a little bit, and I think we certainly did that massively against Argentina. And then, you know, in Uruguay, yeah, we just weren't accurate enough. But, you know, we got over the line. We had a win. And I don't care how you get a win. You know, if you have a win, you have a win, and it's Test match rugby. And so we were very pleased with that, and we got to use that. Even though the performance in that game wasn't great, we've got to use that result as a springboard. You know, there's some newer players in now. You know, we haven't got a lot of time like everyone, but you know, certainly, you know, hopefully that we can use the knowledge of a win against Uruguay to help us move forward as well.
Thanks, Kieran, and good luck.
Cheers, mate.
Hi, Kieran. It's Will here. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Will.
Good. I just wanted to ask you specifically about three guys who actually aren't in your squad, but could be in the future. Paolo Dogwu, Lewis Liner, and Alex Lazowski. Have you been in contact with any of those guys would you like them to play for Italy in the future? Do you think they might?
Yes, to answer your first question, yes, I have been in contact. I haven't personally been in contact with Paolo, but he has been contacted. But the other two I've spoken to personally. They've made their, we've discussed it. They've made decisions at the moment, which I respect 100%, and I support them 100% in it. And I'll keep in contact with them. But certainly, if they were declared themselves available for Italy, certainly we would certainly be looking at them. And they're all quality players. So I'm open to anyone being available. But having said that, we've picked our squad now that is available. The best squad we consider that is possible to pick with the players that are available, and we're very happy with that. And we are certainly moving forward with that. But to answer your question, we will keep the lines of communication open with not only those three, but there's a number of others as well. And if any of them suddenly decide that they're available to play for Italy, certainly we'll consider them. But they then deserve. Then they will consider them to be picked if their form warrants it at the time.
So just to be clear, did Alex Lozowski and Lewis Liner say to you that they're focusing on trying to get into the England squad at the moment?
Well, they never said that in as many words. I mean, obviously you've got to talk to them around their desires from that sort of thing. But certainly, I've had conversations with them about their availability for Italy, and I think in Lewis's case, he's also eligible for Australia. So, they have some decisions to make, and with there's not only that side of things. There's a side of things around that it is their living. They're playing for clubs in England. If they suddenly make themselves available for Italy, well, then how does that affect their contractual status with the way with the salary cap now and English eligible players, etc., and all those details. So there's not only the fact of being available for Italy, there's the fact of how it affects their contractual status, which is their livelihood at the moment.
Just on a last wider point, do you think with that eligibility change, Italy could take advantage? Someone like Alex Lozowski obviously has played for England, but would qualify under the new regulations. Do you think it would be an attractive prospect for people who've already won a few caps but have fallen out of favour at other teams?
Yeah, well, he's the only one at the moment that comes under that category for us at the moment. So it's not a big issue for us. For teams like the Pacific nations, Tongas, your Fijis, your Samoas, your Spains, Portugals. It's a massive thing for those teams. I welcome it. It's. You look at all other sports. You look at athletics. How many athletics people change countries. You look at the winter sports now. You watch cross country skiing, and one year one person's skiing for one country, and next a couple of years later they're skiing for another country, whether it's through marriage or whatever it might be. So I think it's welcoming, and it's the evolution of rugby too, I think.
Kieran, hi, it's Alex Lowe here from The Times. Could I just ask about captaincy? I'll ask Michele a question too, but in your rugby career, player and coach, I would imagine authenticity is the biggest quality a captaincy requires. They have to be themselves. But are there traits that you would be able to draw a thread between all the captains, all the best captains that that you've worked with or played with?
Oh yeah, the number one factor is that they have good values. They are good people. They have to be a good person. They all, I've had some really good captains, and I had some captains who weren't very good. And the one thing that really strikes out for me with them is that they treat everyone the same, and they have they work hard. And they, number one, as Michele said earlier on, they worry about themselves with their performance, because, if they can get their own performance on the field, and, it's very hard for a captain to hold people accountable if he's not performing. So for me, it's they're good people, they have good values, and that they perform on the field are the three big things for me.
Those good captains you mentioned, who would you name in that group?
Well, the first captain I ever had was a guy called, at provincial level in New Zealand, was a guy called Graham Murray. He captained the All Blacks for a fair while, and I'll never forget, I had my first provincial game and I was only a young whippersnapper, 18 years old, and I kicked a drop kick from about 45 metres, which got us in front, and, I was chest out, head was getting big, and he just ran past me, put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Keep your feet on the ground." Just little things like that. He was an outstanding captain. I was very lucky to have him. I had Andy Dalton, I had Jock Hobbs, these are New Zealand All Black captains that I had. And, then I had a coach like Brian Lahore, who was a great captain in New Zealand history. And I think some of his captaincy stuff, transferred over to his coaching. So, there's been a number of them who I've been very fortunate to be playing under.
And has the role changed since Graham Morey's day? So we hear a lot. I mean, Michele maybe can answer this as well. But the role of the leadership group, there's often it's less about the one man and more about a collective. So how much has changed, and what do you look for in appointing a captain?
Social media has changed it massively. The social aspect of the game now. The fact that nothing can be done. I mean, years ago, what we did on a Saturday night, for example, no one knew about because you didn't have cell phones, you didn't have any of that sort of stuff. So it's changed massively in that respect, and it's a challenging thing. Even with your kids, we're all fathers, or a lot of us are fathers. You worry about your kids and the social aspect of it now around the access to things for people, and that goes into a team. And when you're in a team situation, people are always trying to pull you down. So we used to call it the tall poppy syndrome, and captaincy now is a big challenge. Young kids coming through now are taught different. They have a different way of looking at life than what we used to have, probably. And they're all. The social aspect is completely different, and captains have to deal with that.
Can I ask Michele how he goes about dealing with that?
Yeah, obviously it's something that I don't know. I never thought about it, but it's something that we have to deal with, because obviously everything is now could be published, or something that it's everyone can see, everyone can look. If you search, you will find almost everything about everyone. So it's something that there has to be a balance between what you show and even what you are. And like the team is something that is restricted to, most of the times is restricted to just the team, and nothing else should influence it. But then obviously there are times that you have to obviously show and say something to outsiders.
But how do you approach the role of being captain? How would you define that responsibility, that position that you have?
I always thought that for me it's something important to stay Michele, not being another one, just being myself. If I've been named captain, is even because I've got something by myself. I don't have to be anyone else, and that shows obviously that authenticity that you were talking about before. So I think it's something that all the other players receive, and they know you're doing your own personality and not someone else. So I think obviously for me it's more important to have the team, the whole team, my old teammates by my side, and obviously I want them to support me. So that's the most important thing for me, and I always be myself to do that.
Yeah, I've just on Paolo, Paul. Yeah, he's. I think it was great that he's gone to Montpellier. I think it's it gives him a different culture, a different way to play the game. Certainly, the way Montpellier play is different to the way he used to play in Benetton. Montpellier have a no-risk policy, really. I think, if you watch their games, they have a massive forward pack. So they kick a lot for territory, etc. So yeah, he has progressed in that he's got, he's learnt to play a game in a different way. His challenge will be to, because he's still only a young man, 23, I think, 22, 23 or whatever, but his challenge will be to able to adapt to different styles of play, because, we'll play different than Benetton played, and we'll play different than what Montpellier plays. So he will have to challenge himself to change his mindset in some areas, and certainly he will. I think he's a professional player who works hard at his game, and he will do that. So he's an exciting prospect moving forward, because like I said, he's achieved something not many Italians have achieved. Apart from Sergio Parisse probably, and there might be one or two others who are playing consistently at a consistently in top 14 in France at such a young age. Yeah, it was a younger team last year. It's still a young team now. Some of them have improved, and hopefully we can see performances this year that show that they have improved. Obviously, there's a different coach. Franco coached last year, so yeah, it's a new group. So we would hope that we have improved, but this is going to be the most competitive Six Nations ever, I think, when you look at the results of particularly the November period. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge, but I think, I hope that we see that there has been some improvement.
Was an attraction of becoming an Italian coach increased because of the Six Nations?
Oh, it's not. Yeah, I don't know whether it increased because of the Six Nations, because that was. It was there. That is your program. You've got a Six Nations in this period now. Then you've got a summer tour. Then you've got a November tour. So from an international perspective, you know your blocks. So yeah, I suppose an attraction, yes, because the Six Nations competition is one of the best competitions in the world. But my first attraction to the role was the fact that I'd been in Italy for 5 years. It's a great place to live. I certainly felt that I could add to the Italian team, and if I didn't feel that I could add to them, it wouldn't have been an attraction for a start. So I felt that I could do that. We will have to wait and see if that's the case, but we will certainly try and do it. And then when that decision's taken, then you get the role. Well, then you look at the other side of things, and certainly massively the Six Nations is a massive attraction once you've got the role. But first of all, it was about thinking that I could make a difference.
Okay, and regarding the playing style. It's always been said that the Italians could probably be very competitive for an hour, and then the last quarter of the game, the game ran away from them. Is fitness still key to how far Italy can perform at international level?
I don't think it's fitness. You look at when you look at numbers of testing and all that. The numbers we're able to access from other countries, and that our players are doing those same numbers. We have the same numbers in Bronco tests. We have the same strength numbers. We have all those sorts of things. So I don't think fitness is the issue. I think size is the issue in some areas. You look at these teams, they are massively big. And if you have to tackle a team for a long time, you're obviously going to get. It's a lot harder than if you've got the ball. So there's aspects of the game that cause fatigue in the last 15, 20 minutes. If you're a team that's giving away 15 to 18 penalties a game, like Italy's been doing, well, then you are going to be on the defence a lot. So it's taking a lot more out of you. So those are the areas that if we can improve in some of those areas like discipline and areas like that, hopefully we can last longer in games. So I think that's more the issue rather than the fitness side of things.
It's also, as a final question, that maybe the players have to accept whatever the referee says, will not get frustrated at decisions that may be 50-50 and just walk away and set themselves up. Is it the organisation at those sort of things? Are they really things that can help?
Italians are emotional. Yeah, no, look, you're right. And I mean, we've got a referee with us now. Alain Roland is with us this week. We've had talks with him around that and about, Michele's had conversations with him around how we deal with referees, or, how we relate with referees. It's not deal with them, you relate with them. So, we are working in that area and the perception sometimes, that we get the wrong end of the wrong rub of the green. Well, that's a perception you always take if you're on the losing side. So we're working in that area as well. And yes, it's an area that we'll focus on being a lot better in.
It's in the Six Nations. It's 32 straight defeats. I mean, how realistic is a win in the Six Nations, do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, as I've said previously with other people, it's going to be a massive challenge because you've got France, England, Ireland, first three games, and then obviously Wales and Scotland and Wales. And in November, they're the best teams in the world. They beat all the Southern Hemisphere teams. So, well, we get a win. We're certainly hoping to try and do that, and we're hoping to try and do it by being better, obviously, with our performance on the field. But we've got to win the little battles first. In the game, and by little battles I mean we've got to win the contact, we've got to limit our penalties, we've got to be sound in set piece. So all the jargon, rugby jargon, we've got to improve in every area, and if we can, hopefully we get ourselves in a position where we can possibly have a win, and if we did that, that would be massively successful campaign for us.
And you said you'd be open to promotion and relegation in the Six Nations, but if Italy were relegated, what would that do for Italian rugby, do you think? Well,
it would stop people talking about us getting relegated for a start. But anyway, it's, that's only a personal view. I might be way out of line with that, but it's, rugby's evolving. Everything's evolving, well, that added extra spice to the competition, does it need extra spice? What would it do to Italian rugby? It might, help it. You might start getting more wins, and then you grow in confidence, and then suddenly you get promoted again, and then because you've had wins, you know how to win, because you can't win if you don't know how to win, and Italy's probably got into the situation with the results in the Six Nations is that we don't know how to win, because if you look at games in the past couple of years, on the odd occasion they've been very close with a few minutes to go, and then it blows out in the last 5 or 6 minutes, because maybe it's because we're trying to not lose rather than win.